Asterisk, it was supposed to be just another normal weekend. Alex, a 27-year-old software engineer, was packing his bag in a hurry. He had a business trip out of town and planned to be away for only 2 days. Standing in the doorway, he looked back at his small apartment one last time. His cat, Luna, sat on the couch, watching him with wide, curious eyes. She was a beautiful gray tabby, full of energy and always playful. Alex smiled and whispered, "Don't worry, Luna, I'll be back soon." He filled her food bowl, left extra water, and set the automatic feeder before locking the door behind him. The apartment was silent now, except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. Luna stretched lazily and then walked toward the window, watching her owner's car drive away. To her, it felt like just another day. But soon, the silence began to feel heavier. Hours turned into night, and the house remained dark and still. Luna sat near the door, waiting, her ears twitching at every little creak and sound. The shadows inside the living room seemed to stretch longer, darker, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Outside, the street was quiet, but inside, Luna's golden eyes kept darting toward the kitchen, as though she sensed something strange, something not visible to the human eye. Meanwhile, Alex, sitting comfortably in his hotel room miles away, scrolled through his phone without a single worry. To him, everything was under control. He believed that 2 days alone wouldn't matter. But what Alex didn't know was that these 2 days would change everything. Something unexpected was about to happen in his apartment, something that would shock him to his very core. And Luna would be at the center of it all. Asterisk. The first morning without Alex felt strange. Luna woke up and stretched across the couch, expecting to hear the familiar sound of footsteps or the rustle of breakfast being prepared. But the apartment was empty. She padded over to her food bowl and ate quickly, then drank some water from the small dish beside it. For a moment, everything seemed normal. By afternoon, Luna grew restless. She wandered from room to room, meowing softly as if calling out for Alex. She paused at the window, watching the quiet street below. Cars passed, people walked by, but none of it felt familiar. She turned away, her tail twitching nervously. As evening fell, the atmosphere in the apartment began to change. The once warm and lively home now felt cold and hollow. Luna curled up on the rug, but her ears twitched at every sound. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, even the faint creak of the floorboards. Hours later, the shadows deepened. The streetlights outside flickered, casting strange patterns across the living room wall. Luna sat alert, her glowing eyes fixed on the darkened hallway. Something about the silence felt wrong, too heavy, too unnatural. Meanwhile, Alex, miles away, glanced at his phone and opened the pet camera app. The screen lit up with a live feed of his apartment. He smiled when he saw Luna sitting there, her tail wrapped neatly around her paws. To him, she looked calm and quiet. But what he didn't notice, what the camera didn't capture, was the faint rustling sound coming from the kitchen just out of frame. Back in the apartment, Luna's gaze snapped toward the sound. She crouched low, ears back, her body tense. Something had shifted. Something was there, unseen, yet undeniable. Day one was ending, but the unease was only beginning. Luna's instincts told her this was not just loneliness. Something else had entered her world. The second night crept in slowly. Outside, the world seemed peaceful, but inside Alex's apartment, the silence was suffocating. Luna paced near the doorway, her whiskers twitching, ears rotating sharply at every little sound. The food bowl was already half empty, and the water dish was running low. But hunger wasn't what made her restless. It began with a faint scratching sound near the kitchen. Luna froze instantly, her eyes glowing in the dim light. her small body lower to the ground, every muscle tense. The sound came again, slow, deliberate, like fingernails dragging against wood. She padded toward the kitchen door, her claws tapping softly against the tiles. The scratching stopped. For a moment, the apartment was still, too still. Luna tilted her head, sniffing the air, her tail flicking back and forth. Then another noise. This time, it came from the hallway closet. A soft thump like something shifting inside. Luna hissed, her back arching for standing on end. She crept closer, her golden eyes fixed on the dark crack beneath the closet door. For a split second, she thought she saw movement, a shadow slithering inside. Miles away, Alex sat in his hotel room, scrolling through social media. His phone buzzed. The pet camera had detected motion. Curious, he opened the app. On the screen, Luna was crouched low, staring into the darkness. Alex chuckled. "Silly cat," he whispered. To him, it was nothing unusual, but then the camera feed glitched. For just a moment, the screen blurred, and in the corner of the frame, a tall, shadowy outline flickered behind Luna. So fast Alex almost didn't notice. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head, blaming bad Wi-Fi. Back in the apartment, Luna hissed louder. The scratching sound returned, this time closer, moving toward her. The empty apartment no longer felt empty at all. By the middle of the second day, Alex decided to check in on Luna again. He was in the middle of a meeting, but something kept tugging at the back of his mind. Opening the pet camera app, he expected to see his cat lazily sleeping or curled up on the couch. Instead, what he saw made his heart skip a beat. On the screen, Luna wasn't resting at all. She was sitting perfectly still in the living room, staring directly at the hallway. Her ears were pinned back, her tail flicking nervously against the floor. It was as if she was watching something that wasn't there. Alex leaned closer to his phone. "What's wrong, girl?" he whispered. He tapped the screen, zooming in. But no matter how hard he looked, the hallway appeared empty. Just shadows, nothing more. Still, Luna didn't blink. Her body remained frozen in that tense, ready-to-pounce posture. A few minutes passed. Then, suddenly, Luna leaped into the air, swiping at thin air with her claws. She spun around, hissing, her gaze tracking something invisible that seemed to move across the room. Alex frowned, his pulse quickening. And then, it happened again. The feed glitched. For less than a second, a dark shape appeared near the hallway wall, tall and thin, its head slightly tilted, as if it were watching. Alex gasped. He replayed the footage, but when he went back, the shadow wasn't there anymore. He shook his head, convincing himself it was bad Wi-Fi or a technical bug. But deep down, unease gnawed at him. Cats were sensitive, he reminded himself. Maybe Luna was just bored. Back in the apartment, Luna crouched low to the ground, eyes locked on the hallway. She knew something was there. She could feel it, smell it, hear it. And whatever it was, it hadn't left yet. By the start of the second night, Luna was no longer the same calm and playful cat Alex had left behind. Her food bowl was empty, her water dish dry. Hunger clawed at her stomach, but her golden eyes never left the dark hallway. She wasn't just waiting anymore, she was guarding. The apartment had become unbearably still, yet every now and then a faint sound echoed. The creak of a floorboard, the soft rustle of fabric, the whisper of movement in places no one should be. Luna's ears twitched at every sound, her tail lashing angrily as she stalked through the shadows. Then came the loud thump. It shook the quiet apartment, as if something had fallen or been dropped. Luna hissed, arching her back. Her fur bristled as she turned toward the kitchen. The sound came again, dragging, heavy, deliberate. Something was inside. Luna darted forward, claws unsheathed, and swiped at the air near the kitchen doorway. She growled, a deep, guttural sound that no one would expect from such a small creature. And then she leapt. For Alex, watching through his phone in the hotel, the scene was terrifying. He had tuned in casually, but what he saw made his blood run cold. Luna was throwing herself at the empty air, scratching, clawing, biting at something unseen. Her tiny body was tossed against the wall, yet she stood back up, hissing louder, refusing to give up. And then blood. On the camera feed, faint streaks appeared on the tiles near the door, as if Luna had wounded something invisible. Alex's heart pounded. His logical mind screamed it was impossible, but his eyes told him otherwise. The night dragged on, filled with growls, hisses, and crashing sounds. Luna was fighting a battle no one could understand. By dawn, silence returned. The apartment looked the same as before, but the air was heavy, charged. Something had happened, and Luna was still sitting by the door, guarding, waiting, her fur stained with streaks of red. When Alex finally returned home on the evening of the second day, he expected to find Luna hungry and upset, maybe even sulking. But nothing could have prepared him for what he walked into. The moment he opened the door, a chill ran down his spine. The apartment was unusually cold, the kind of cold that seeped into the bones. Luna was sitting near the front door, her fur messy, her eyes wide and glowing in the dim light. She wasn't meowing in joy, nor running toward him. She was guarding. Alex dropped his bag and crouched down. "Luna," he whispered. That's when he noticed the floor. Just a few inches from where she sat were faint streaks of red, blood stains smeared across the tiles, leading toward the doorframe. His chest tightened. He rushed inside, checking the kitchen, the bedroom, the closet. Everything looked untouched, but the air felt heavy, wrong. He pulled out his phone, replaying the last night's camera footage. His hands trembled as the video loaded. At first, it looked the same as before. Luna pacing, staring into the darkness. But then, the moment arrived. A shadow moved across the hallway, tall, thin, and unmistakably human. Alex's heart stopped. It wasn't a glitch. Someone had been inside his home. His eyes widened as the footage continued. Luna leapt forward, clawing at the intruder, her small frame fearless. The figure staggered backward, blood hitting the floor, before it suddenly vanished from the frame as if pulled into the shadows. Alex slammed the phone shut, his breath heavy. He turned to Luna, who stared back at him, still guarding the door. Her fur bristled. He realized the terrifying truth. While he was gone, someone or something had tried to get inside, and his little cat had fought to protect him. But one question burned in his mind. If the intruder left, why did it feel like the apartment was still not empty? When Alex finally returned home on the evening of the second day, he expected to find Luna hungry and upset, maybe even sulking. But nothing could have prepared him for what he walked into. The moment he opened the door, a chill ran down his spine. The apartment was unusually cold, the kind of cold that seeped into the bones. Luna was sitting near the front door, her fur messy, her eyes wide and glowing in the dim light. She wasn't meowing in joy, nor running toward him. She was guarding. Alex dropped his bag and crouched down. "Luna," he whispered. That's when he noticed the floor. Just a few inches from where she sat were faint streaks of red, blood stains smeared across the tiles, leading toward the doorframe. His chest tightened. He rushed inside, checking the kitchen, the bedroom, the closet. Everything looked untouched, but the air felt heavy, wrong. He pulled out his phone, replaying the last night's camera footage. His hands trembled as the video loaded. At first, it looked the same as before. Luna pacing, staring into the darkness. But then, the moment arrived. A shadow moved across the hallway, tall, thin, and unmistakably human. Alex's heart stopped. It wasn't a glitch. Someone had been inside his home. His eyes widened as the footage continued. Luna leapt forward, clawing at the intruder, her small frame fearless. The figure staggered backward, blood hitting the floor, before it suddenly vanished from the frame as if pulled into the shadows. Alex slammed the phone shut, his breath heavy. He turned to Luna, who stared back at him, still guarding the door. Her fur bristled. He realized the terrifying truth. While he was gone, someone or something had tried to get inside, and his little cat had fought to protect him. But one question burned in his mind. If the intruder left, why did it feel like the apartment was still not empty? The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Alex stood frozen in the living room, his phone clutched tightly in his hand, his eyes darting to every corner. The blood stains near the door hadn't vanished. They were real, proof that something or someone had been here. Luna was still crouched low, her glowing eyes locked on the hallway closet. Alex's stomach churned. Slowly, he walked toward the closet, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. Each step felt heavier, as though the air around him was pressing down. He reached for the handle. Luna hissed sharply, almost as if warning him not to open it. Alex hesitated, his hand trembling, but then he yanked the door open. The closet was empty, just old coats, shoes, and boxes stacked neatly. Nothing out of place. He exhaled shakily, almost laughing at himself. "I'm losing it," he muttered. But then he saw it. At the bottom of the closet, smeared across the wooden floor, were fresh, bloody claw marks, longer and deeper than any a cat could make. His skin prickled, cold sweat running down his back. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The camera on his phone buzzed with a notification, motion detected. Heart racing, Alex clicked the live feed. His breath caught in his throat. On the screen, behind him, in the living room, a tall, shadowy figure stood still, its head tilted, watching. Alex spun around. Nothing. Just the faint shimmer of Luna's glowing eyes staring at the same spot. She hissed again, louder this time, her back arched. The screen glitched, the shadow flickered, and then it was gone. Alex dropped his phone, breathing hard, realization crashing down on him. This wasn't just a break-in. This wasn't human. Something else had been in his home. Something Luna had fought, and it wasn't finished. The twist was undeniable. His brave little cat hadn't just saved his apartment. She had saved his life. And whatever that shadow was, it might still be waiting for him.